Hey everyone. So I am thinking about the lunar eclipse coming up on Monday. And, we're in that really weird space in between eclipses. And it's a time that feels like you're gearing up for a change. You're not completely sure what, or maybe you know what, but you're not sure how you're going to get there because it's one of those quantum leap moments that we get a couple of times during the year. I feel like this one is significant because um, we've been working on issues for quite a while that have to do with inner security and releasing fear. And that's exactly what this eclipse cycle is in my mind, because we're dealing with Taurus and Scorpio, and Taurus is the evaluation of uh, what what gives us the joy of being alive, physically, financially, in terms of the enjoyment of, we're not just spirits running around in the spirit world. We're in our bodies and we're in our lives and we're in our businesses and we're in, we're creating, we're looking at and creating the nuts and bolts of being alive. What do we need next? What are we building? I always think of Taurus as a sign of enjoyment of the physical world, but also building. What are we manifesting? What are we, it's to me, it's like this is the time when spring is kind of coming up and it's showing up and the leaves are coming out on the trees. So we're looking at what the fertility in our lives. What is fertile? What is growing? What do we want to grow in our gardens? Those questions. At the same time, as we're looking at that garden that we want to create, we're looking over there at the fears and at the things that we're letting go of. We're looking at the decaying corpse of our basically like our fear body, the fears that we're letting go of. And in order to, fear is such a weird thing because it's so much just in the mind. I always say that fear is, um, it's more the thought about the bear than meeting the bear. Because when you meet the bear on the trail, you click into some kind of action and you start to take care of whatever that is you need to do to deal with that bear. But the fear that a lot of us are dealing with have to do with fears that get embedded through collective thought forms other people are having. We're picking up on it, especially if you're highly sensitive. They have to do with conditioned fears, fears that have been installed somehow along the way, that you've gotten the program and just, somebody said, oh, it's hard to do such and such. And so you're like, oh, it's hard to do such and such. We're parroting the programming. And so so we have a lunar eclipse coming up in Scorpio, and it is wanting to suction out the old, the the toxic, and when I think of Scorpio, and it rules those lower regions in our body that absorb fears from the collective. It's the instincts, it's like the part of us that wants to survive is threatened by change and is taking in information all the time. What's poisonous out there? What do I need to avoid? Where am I in danger? Some of that is your information, some of it's not your information, and this lunar eclipse is about recognizing the information that is not yours, that so that you can excrete it or have it excreted or have it suctioned out or vacuumed out. Eclipses have a tendency to feel like we get blindsided by something. It's like a temporary blocking out of awareness, which is the light. Light is awareness, it's information. And so that's why when we go through eclipse season, we feel a little blurry. We feel like, did I see that coming? What is going on? I feel like I'm in a tunnel. I don't really know what I'm feeling. What is happening to me? And what's happening is we're moving into an evolutionary jump. So, one of the things I think to be aware of, I love a little preparation. Even with an eclipse cycle, it's hard to have preparation. But one thing you can do is have some information about what that consciousness shift is all about. And this one is about releasing fear, releasing poisons, releasing toxicities. And what I would call your attention to are what in your environment, where are the toxic situations, where are the non life giving, vitality sucking dynamics that you are becoming aware enough of and loving yourself enough to say goodbye to. So, there are a couple ways you can do this. You can actually look at your chart and see where Scorpio is, and you can start to take a look and scan that part of your life, that sector, and say, okay, I'm recognizing some decay here, and this is what the decay looks like to me. This is what I'm aware of, where I am seeing life through the lens of fear, seeing life through instinct only, as if I'm just a creature with a body and no soul, as if, it's like a very, that's what drives the fear, is believing that something has power over you and believing that you have to connect with things that actually are toxic for you in order to survive. So, taking a look at I say toxins, poisons, however you want to see it. You can ask yourself, what, because you will already, if you see this before the eclipse or around the time of the eclipse, you'll already be tracking a little bit. This is my area where I think there's just I need to detox. I need to cleanse this part of myself, this part of my life. I need to release this so that I can experience all of the joys that are really here on planet Earth and that are there for you. All of the delights of the Garden of Earth, and those things that you are wanting to move into, new phases, new structures, new manifestations, new builds, wherever you're wanting to build something new. And you're going to see on that axis what are the toxins that are related to that you're letting go of. What are you completely done taking in, and have you've used it up to the highest degree, and it's no longer of use to you. Sometimes we partake of ideas and concepts and foods, substances, anything that are, we're experimenting with them, and they kind of alter us in one way or another. And I'm also speaking about energies. And then we realize, I worked with that for quite a while, and now I no longer need that one. For example, I've been having conversations with people lately about criticism and judgments, and that can be a really difficult toxin because it feels like it's rational. when we want to judge anything. And what we're really trying to do is have boundaries. We're just trying to have some boundaries with that thing. And a way out of that is just to say, I see that thing, I'm identifying it with such and such a judgment, and it's okay that it be whatever that is. That's okay. And it frees you from having to feel like, oh, I've got to solve that. I've got to be responsible for that thing. So we're getting into another area here. But I think this week is really about also just like giving yourself a pat on the back. I mean, I think eclipse season it's really a challenge because you are actively in evolution. And so take a look around and examine the toxins that you've been partaking in. Also look at 2003, 2004 to kind of remember what the cycle might feel like. It might be reminiscent for you. And you might remember needing to shift out of certain social circles or wherever the toxins were for you um, to get to a more wholesome place and a more generative space. So we've got the late afternoon light coming in, and I would love to hear how this eclipse season is for you, what's happening for you during this really intense week. I will talk with you soon.